funnest tour, I guess the best one, just historically, would be the Brazil S Tour, because of the accomplishment of finally being able to bring a group of people from the U.S. down to Brazil and have them cruise around and then show the kids. It was just fun. The kids were really so excited and happy that we were there. Everywhere we went, it was just like kids were freaking. We rented this van and stickered it up. It's funny because that really had never happened in Brazil. And that was kind of like a start for tours down there. Now, like, there's a lot of people and a lot of companies doing it. The people that were on the tour made a big difference as well. Like, everyone kind of got along together and it was fun, you know. And you got to know each other a lot and got to meet a lot of new people and got to throw some food away, which I wasn't really stoked on. You know, it's what happens when you get a group of people having fun and just kind of cruising around. got to go up to the Corcovado, which is the Cristo in Rio de Janeiro. Got to see McCrank olling down the stairs, which I had never seen anyone skate. You know, so there's a lot of first things that happened in that tour that was really fun. It sparked skateboarding in Brazil a lot. And in that sense, I guess that's why I picked this tour, is because it was fun. It was a first tour in that magnitude in Brazil, and just skateboarding, having a good time.
November 24th, Cowtown. You think you know, but you have no idea.
Looks like one Eric Austin has some board
Everyone get together. Sunday, November 25th, the Vans Park.
I see the distant lights, so close but so far. Stairway to heaven, pray to the mother star. I worship the stratosphere, then wonder how I got here. Every third Sunday of the month, great skies clear. Hold my hands high, turn to the left, with the blue robe and the moons on my chest. Worship the infinite solar system, wonder why. If we were the chosen, then why do humans have to die? Flesh and bone is either only temporary, but in my portal, we can all be immortal. Drink the blood of a bird, I wipe my face with the dirt. Part android, I'm one with the earth. Mission is human, resistance half man. Out on this flat planet, I'm in love with the hologram. Worship the infinite solar system, wonder why. We were the chosen, then why do humans have to die? Pray to the stars, and then I worship her name. I pray to the stars, and then I worship her name. Pray to the stars, I pray to the stars, and worship her name.
November 26th, gas station, Wendy's. It's damn cold too, huh? November 27th, freezing in the desert, right? Wednesday, November 28th, Corpus Christi!
I was a cyborg who taught me how to fly. Showed me remote control, it bounces off my eyes. I eat insects, I digest the rest. Pieces in my bag, carry it on my quest. In an incubator, studied by lab technicians instead of pediatricians. Searching the infinite solar
November
system, wonder why.
30th, Southside Skate Park.
Lights are close but so far. Stairway to heaven, well, I pray to the mother star. Worship the stratosphere, then wonder how I got here. Then every third Sunday of the month, great skies clear. Hold my hands high, then I turn to the left, with the blue robe and the moons on my chest. Worship the infinite solar system, wonder why. If we were the chosen, then why do humans have to die? Worship the infinite solar system, wonder why. If we were the chosen, then why do humans have to die? Flesh and bone is either only temporary.
December 1st, Tranquility Park. What?
2nd, 2001. Baton Rouge, Louisiana. We are leaving the Cracker Barrel. Cracker Barrel.
I don't know the date today.
December 4th, Big Daddy's.
Boom! Ba-boom!
That one sucks. This is the art of slingshot M80s.
Do it now.
Scott, that's for you, buddy!
Watch this one.
What's the date today, Rick?
A lot of suds. December 6th.
You think you know, but these guys are really retarded.
It's December 8th.
And where are we at?
Art Duo Board Shop.
And who are you here to see?
Eric Costin.
All right.
See you later, man.
Yeah, man. It's good having you guys. Thanks a lot.
Take care.
Have a good safe trip.
All right, later.
Yeah.
Bro, leave Cherry Park for once, bro. Go somewhere else.
Went to FDR, and I think we got a good portion of his part done in one night. He started like nollie into it. I was like, all right. He said he was gonna grab my skateboard out of my hands and break it over my skull.
A little more denim going, a lot more Axl.
He turned into Axl Rose. I was on the plane and I looked down and I actually saw that happening. What the hell, dude? Who's nose manual? This is insane.
I just like a flat sole. Nothing too crazy, nothing too tank. Comfortable and like light on your feet. That's what I'm into, like just a solid shoe to skate in. This is the first shoe that I've been able to skate in and be psyched on it the whole time.
Excessive heat warning for the cities of Washington and Baltimore. The National Weather Service puts this excessive heat warning out.
In Downey 105 eastbound, just past Lakewood Boulevard, it's a car that...
Gary is expected to become a hurricane prior to landfall, and we do expect the landfall to be somewhere in the western Florida panhandle. Basically,
when you have an accident, East 101 east of Van Nuys Boulevard.
And now in the hall.
The nice thing about it is that it's an awesome shoe for street skating as well as for vert skating. And I won't break the lace until this thing is gone. You know, that's a lot of sliding. And the ultimate test to me is actually skating submit. You know, and I did it with this shoe, and I was quite impressed on how long it lasted. You know, so it doesn't burn a hole through that easy. You know, so you guys will be happy to have a good shoe that will, you know, take care of you and won't just blow up on you.
So the idea behind the tour was we're thinking about how we were going to make our way to Make-A-Wish, and everybody's gone out to 10 100 times. So we wanted to just kind of come up with something different and thought of this concept of having a raffle ahead of us in the cities.
And the winner of the raffle got to go skate with us all day, like took us around to all his spots in his local area.
All of the money from the raffles would then be donated to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. So we were all pretty excited about it. Straight away, Molly, blowing minds.
I think he was sleeping in the van, and he got out of the van, and Ollie Impossible that bumped the gap. That was insane.
That was like the moment right there we were like, this is going to be a good trip. We left and headed out to Reno, so we drove over to Nick's, knocked on the door. His mom answered, and then he came to the door, and he was just like, big blank stare on his face. Like.
So Nick took us to his school, skated his school for a while.
This is my old elementary school.
I think the cool thing that happened was we skated it maybe in a different way than he had ever seen it skated before. And we have fun, and we skated with him. It was the perfect start to the trip, so.
So Nick took us to his school and showed us around Reno all day, so we got to skate all kinds of stuff. He just kind of asked us, you know, what do you guys feel like skating? And we're like, anything.
The whole thing was my favorite part because I just had a lot of fun, you know, seeing Alex and Stacy over here and Jason and Steph, you know, bust out their mad skills. It was quite a show.
All right, we're in Salt Lake City, Utah, on our way to go pick up Brandon, 5-year-old kid that won the raffle.
It was kind of rainy that day, so we went to a local skate park that was indoors. After that, we went back to Brandon's house and his mom cooked us dinner. Considering what you normally eat on tour, it was like a home-cooked meal in the middle of the tour, so it was really cool.
You know, I guess you don't think about you're just gonna go to somebody's house and they're just gonna take you in like that. Just straight away, super friendly, and just psyched for us to be there.
That was a five.
Then we headed out to Colorado.
All the presents to the third kid. It's gonna be a good time.
Blake Callahan, who was the last kid that we were gonna get to hang out with. You know, the whole family was out front. We were playing with his dog and playing basketball in his front yard. And right there, I mean, it was, you know, already we just knew it was gonna be a super fun day.
Yeah, we built this contraption out of signs and splintered wood.
It was not easy to skate. It was really hard to skate. Emily just glides through it and makes it look like the most perfectly built jumper in the world.
Alex decided to do a frontside kickflip like 10 feet high. Then he varial heeled it. Now it's just perfect.
I want to say thanks to the Santa Cruz team. It was really fun and got to skate some good spots. I'm trying to think of the stuff. I had a lot of fun.
Stacey Lauer, Pat Duffy, Alan Peterson, Travis Sales, Will Taylor, Charlie Thomas.
Favorite road trip I've ever been on was this past summer, summer of 2001. I went on a 12-day cross-country road trip. I drove town to town, state to state, and showed up at skate parks unannounced. No one knew where I was going, no one knew that I was even coming. It wasn't a demo tour, it wasn't something that was set up. I was looking to just get out there, get into the skate parks, get into the towns, and have genuine interaction with the skaters. And in the 12 days I was on the road, I feel like I really reconnected to the skate community and reconnected to the reasons why I skate. I don't relate to the idea that there's some crummy park somewhere and it's detrimental to the skate scene. So every skater has a responsibility to their own skate scene to step up and make it good. That's kind of a message that I brought to these places when I was on this trip. That's why I say it was genuine, you know, it was really cool for me to be able to do that.
Tell you the truth, I can't remember much of it, so I'm pretty much the worst person to interview about this trip. It was basically a mess, that's what it was. Just different people showing up at the airport. It's like, all right, let's go skate with these geezers. Matt Beach just showed up at the airport, so we picked him up and took him for a ride. Dustin was already there. Rick started skating this gap over this slab bar thing that slammed on a couple of times. And all of a sudden, all the kids just barged in the middle of the skate park. And all the kids were suddenly in the skate park, so you couldn't go anywhere. So that was basically the demo was over, and he was the king and the celebration and all that. And, we went to Sydney and Melbourne, that was it. And just stayed in the city and street skating. Even though there is no street skating footage probably, but we did skate. talk about Australia. Just go there and see it yourself.
My name's Terry Kennedy, and I've been skating for 3 years.
Now what y'all want me to do? Keep your shit hard. It's about to go down.
That's what my mom always told me too, because she passed away. She was just like, whatever you do, just always be a leader, you know, never be a follower. Just love to skate, you know, just for that energy and just everything else. Just nothing else for me out there to do, you know.
I've been alone with you inside my mind. And in my dreams I've kissed your lips 1,000 times. I sometimes see you pass outside my door. Hello, is it me you're looking for?
You got a marker.
I'm a stop the woman there. I'm a stop the woman there. I'm gonna see him, I tell the bring him right. She's a column, the woman, show me him right. So, I'm Mr. Stop up in the front line. Fat sexy girl, don't call on the grind. Stop up in the front line. Fire for them and them rebel right man behind.
Mickey and I had been wanting to do a tour of Russia for a long time because we both spent time there in the early 90s and we're kind of surprised to find out that skateboarding even existed there. Russia was in this kind of like almost lawless, chaotic state coming out of communism, and there was no skate shops and there was no way to get stuff from the West, and all they had were these little plastic boards that they sold in sporting goods stores. And yet all the skaters I met somehow had gotten a hold of modern equipment.
So in the 70s, as skateboarding was developing, there was this sort of do-it-yourself tradition in the country where these magazines would publish how to build a skateboard, and they would tell you things like take 2 hockey pucks and glue them together and drill a hole through them and there's a wheel. Especially in the late 80s and early 90s, they were very eager to keep up, and they were very ingenious in the ways that they solved these problems. Usually they would take apart a truck and make a cast of it and start building their own equipment.
So I met these 4 guys that had set up this little company, and they were basically supplying all the boards to the entire city of St. Petersburg. But their workshop was this little space on top of a building that they just kind of found, and they'd like stolen electricity from somewhere, like across the street or something, and they just kind of set up shop there. It was definitely kind of a ghetto setup, but they actually figured out how to make a press that could make pretty much exact copies of the board that I had at the time.
In the beginning, we made a press with 2 pieces of cement. We used a sack of potatoes to squeeze them together. It was kind of sketchy, but it enabled us to skate.
The boards were good. The only problem was they were made out of birch instead of maple. They couldn't get maple. And it took a whole day to make one board because it took about 12 hours for the thing to dry.
There's usually 1 or 2 groups of guys in each city that would make the boards.
Mickey had met these guys in Moscow that had figured out how to make a press using car jacks, and then they had a heated drying cabinet so they could actually make like a board every couple of hours.
They were able to build stuff that wasn't quite what we had out here, but it did the job, and it kept them into it and kept them interested and kept them skating.
Watch out when you're skating around here, but I don't know, it's cool. There's some really, really unique stuff here. It's pretty crazy. I just pictured it as sort of a post-apocalyptic wasteland where you could use Levi's and toilet paper as currency, and there's bomb buildings everywhere, and I just had no idea that it was even like this modern.
Oh, that? Oh my God! What is that?
That's the Silver Surfer Memorial.
It's weird, you grow up watching James Bond. Nuclear, the Russians are up to this. And so you fly into Moscow and you're thinking, oh my gosh, we're behind enemy lines, It's kind of spooky. And everything is so triumphant, Just big, hard, strong. This is super different from what I've seen anywhere at all.
This is so rad. I can't believe I'm here.
Sun up to sundown, we have been on the go. Just basically like get up in the morning, eat breakfast, go. Like the image I had of Russia, I didn't even think that there would be really a lot of skaters here. It was pretty freaky, just skating a spot and some kid comes up to you and is like, they know you. It's just like, wow, it's kind of crazy.
It seems like they haven't really seen too many American skaters at all, like in real life, so their stuff,
All the regular sidewalks and roads aren't really smooth enough to skate, so we end up skating a lot of monuments and things that are marble.
There's lots of like granite and marble slabs where there's cracks and little divisions of height, like stuff that was really hard to skate, so if you did anything, it was good. And that sort of made it fun,
Russia, you know, you have old people that are kind of clinging to this really archaic system, and then you have young people who are really embracing changes coming in from the West. It's just creating a bigger and bigger divide.
Oh, they're professionals? Yeah, I can see that. God, it looks so dangerous. I feel sorry for the kids that do this.
The hardest thing is trying to communicate with someone that just has no idea what you're saying. You know? Especially when old ladies talk, you're like, I wonder what they're saying. There's probably something neat, you know?
Да. Чисто берем.
Cheesesteak.
Сам чистый. Носочка.
So many people have come up to me like, you know, they'll just think that I'm Russian, and I guess they'll be asking me for the time or some directions, and I'll just like, I'll look at them and just walk away.
Сосиска? Есть. Много.
Сосиска.
Есть.
Fiska. So you get in and then you realize like these people are just like we are. It's even worse, you know, they're just cynical and they're just characters. They're just exactly like we are. Our driver is definitely a character. He's just non-stop comedy.
Sasha's rad. He's such a badass.
Sasha was very typical Russian in a lot of ways, you know, sort of a crew cut, very stern, and you know, after a couple of days I think he kind of opened up to us, and he was a kick, and just he was really good at showing us around and taking care of us. And
It seems like when you make friends in Russia, it's sort of like for life.
Looking at Moscow from the sky, like a bird's eye view, must look like a Monopoly game or something. Like everything is pointed at you and it's all so big.
The monuments and all the architecture denote like a very like proud race who at one time or another were really into themselves and who they were as a people.
Moscow, part 1. It's good, you know. I love manual tricks.
We drove to a spot, one kid would see us, and he would use his cell phone to call everybody that he knew. Friends, family, like people would be flying in from like the Ukraine.
You know, we'd skate somewhere, like within an hour, we were done. You know, we had to go somewhere else. The guys did spend a lot of time talking with kids, and it's just that we had a real tight schedule. We had to get a lot of things done.
Thank you very much.
So a lot of the time we would kind of be kind of stealth and move around and find spots, you know, investigating and exploring.
We decided to take a break from Moscow for a couple of days and hop on the night train to St. Petersburg.
One of the must-do things in Russia is to take a train from one city to another.
The train was good, first class, apartments.
That looks very nice. The bomb.
I kept those crazy slippers. Those things were crazy.
One of our goals was to get out of Moscow for at least a day. St. Petersburg is sort of spread out over these islands, and for that reason there are a lot of bridges built. Weren't really sure what was going to be there in terms of skating, but we wanted to show the guys a city in any case and see what it did have.
You know, we got our Russian version of New York, which is Moscow. We got our Russian version of Frisco, which is St. Petersburg.
The second day we were there, we went to the skate park, which of course turned into kind of an impromptu demo.
The Petersburg demo turned out to be pretty fun. I was pretty tired already, so I had fun on that little black quarter pipe in the corner. It was me and him, you know, just hanging out by ourselves back there.
We took the train back to Moscow for the last 2 days in Russia and ended up going to Victory Park, which is one of the most popular skate spots.
That one place, we were so good.
Mark and Rodney spotted this crazy sculpture off to the side that was surrounded by granite banks, and no one seemed to be skating it. What we didn't know was it was a monument to the millions of Russians that died in World War II.
We skated on this one monument that was the equivalent of the Vietnam Wall. We had no idea. It was just some rad sculpture.
Out of the blue, this cop car comes pulling up and screeching to a halt.
And this guy brought out an Uzi, and he was just like, "What are you doing? Are you crazy? You cannot skate here. This is like a war monument." After that, I felt super bad.
Was it wrong to do what we did? Were we defacing this monument? And I think that what the guys were doing, I mean, you know, they weren't grinding stuff, they were just kind of doing manuals and stuff, and it's that very delicate style of skating, you know. I think that the monument was somehow enhanced by that, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. But when your mission is sort of to invade these spots and do something that they weren't necessarily built to accommodate, you know, you're going to attract some attention, and that's always a risky thing in a place like Russia.
The only reason we didn't get thrown in jail was basically because Sasha, the driver, stepped up and bribed the cops so they wouldn't arrest us.
I gave him the money, and he forgot about the problem.
One of the things about Russia is that the cops can always kind of just ask you for your documents. They have that power. You know, it's really strict, and if you don't have everything quite in order, it can be trouble.
I seriously could never understand what it would be like to live in sort of a place like this, like a police state where you can get stopped or they can question you almost like you have no rights at all.
They just hang out on the side of the road and wave people down. And you're walking and you get waved down and you got to show your papers, and they're just, this is just burly. Complain about it at home, but it's nothing compared to here.
Again, from our perspective, it seems unbelievable, but on, you know, on that end, it's just, that's life, you know.
Russians have had to deal with stuff for a long time that we would consider abnormal, but it's just made them really good at working around the system, and that makes them kind of perfect for skateboarding. Since the early 90s, a bunch of skate shops have opened, and they've gotten access to Western products.
You know, they have everything we have over here, more or less, and they even have a couple of their own companies who are, you know, pressing boards and making wheels, and a little more affordable for the kids there who can't afford a Western, you know, deck.
They just built this huge indoor skate park in Moscow, which is kind of like the missing link that Russian skaters have needed to get them through the long winters.
It seems like whereas the Americans right now, we sort of just take everything for granted. The Russians don't have it as fortunate as that, so they make do, and they come away with some stuff that's pretty legit, you know. Like, I really respect that about them.
They do their own thing because I think it's just part of, it's in their blood, you know, it's part of their tradition.
Отлично. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
why I chose a life behind the lines. Sluggo Van Engelen.
This is so fun. I love this.
This is what we got to deal with every day. That sucks.
How you doing? Hey, we're like doing an interview right now. Can you? Thanks very much.
Don't put me on.
Right now, she's putting a stuffed animal on his.
Sis, say on video. Richie, on video. On video.
If you want to grow up big and strong, you gotta eat a well-balanced meal. Got your veggies, got your protein, some starch, some grain. That's the secret, kids. If you want to be big and strong like me, the plate's gotta look like this. It's gotta be balanced. You gotta represent all the food groups. No donuts for breakfast, no chocolate banana sandwiches for lunch. I don't know if you eat that, but don't. Can I eat in peace now?
Can you think of anything?